How can we effectively use ICT in the classroom? What is the big deal about ICT anyways? Why is it a must, and why, as we as teachers, need to use it in the classroom? Well, the big dilemma here is that as 21st century learners, students are more engaged with this technology than ever before. These young people all have multiple forms of technology at their disposal at home, so why can't we allow them to use their tools they feel most comfortable with in the learning environment? Students are able to access numerous amounts of information at their fingertips. This begs the question of how is this ICT being used in the classroom, and is it being used in the most effective way possible? Through my extensive research into ICT and how it is implemented into the classroom, I'll be informing you on how to use ICT to ensure that your students are getting the most out of it. In order for us to identify how to use ICT in the classroom, we first need to be able to understand what characteristics make a good technological resource in the classroom. This is a list of questions to ask yourself when finding or developing a resource to use in the classroom and ensure that the integrity of the technology is maintained and it is being used to its full potential. Is the technology introducing a new platform for creativity and learning? This meaning questioning whether or not this ICT is presenting a new concept or is it simply replacing an old activity with a new method. This would be suggesting that getting students to type up a good copy of a story or turning a test into a digital quiz is not really improving the learning at all. It is merely just putting a new spin on writing with pen and paper, but with no clear extra benefits of the use of ICT. A better way to approach this would perhaps be turning their short story that they've written into something like a blog forum or a short film, or allowing immediate feedback or communication online. They could even use gaming programming to turn it into an electronic game for friends to play. Another question to ask ourselves is, does this resource provoke the interests of the children in my class? Using this important question, we can assess whether or not this technology has options that allow students to engage with it in their own meaningful ways. We need to learn that 21st century learners do not all learn the same way as one another, nor do they want to all learn about the same things. As facilitators, it is our job to teach them fundamental skills and foundations, but give them options to support their own interests and passions. I believe technology is allowing us to do this in a way like never before. If we give students different options of how they want to present what they're learning about, giving them a choice of how they're learning, and giving them all different mediums of technology, I believe we're going to be able to create a more enriching classroom and more engaged students. Another way to support our digital learning is to explore new methods out there. One of these methods is the use of social media. We need to begin to understand that children want to be constantly connecting with one another. Social media is a really exciting platform that has taken off over the last 10 years. We have resources such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Edmodo as an educational one. There's things such as Pinterest, or there's blogs, YouTube, all types of things that students are engaged with at home, but it's not being used in the classroom. The social media resources have suggested that Facebook has over 900 million estimated monthly visitors. So each month, over 900 million people visit Facebook, including students. So why are we constantly banning this form of communication instead of incorporating it into the classroom as a refreshing and engaging tool? Ultimately, this would achieve student collaboration with one another, with teachers, with parents, and with the wider community. It would allow students to be able to discuss their ideas with each other, post things, get instant feedback, have connections with their teachers in a way they've never had before, as well as allow parents to have a look into the classroom as well as teachers communicate with parents about their student learning. It just really begs the question of why isn't it used in classrooms today? We need to ultimately put students in charge of their own learning. Students need to take control and become responsible of their learning. With the wide variety of options ICT presents to students, they are now able to create and visualise and make like never before. Whitby states, today's technology, when used in creative and intuitive ways, will also make a tremendous contribution to personalising learning. Students will be able to take control of aspects of their own learning to work at their own pace, to integrate and express new understandings in their own way, and to chart their own progress. This result is a shift from the school or teacher controlling the learning to the learner taking the control. Through the use of technology, we will be able to give students that control like never before. Teachers, it's time for us to take a step back and allow the students to take the steps forward and become in charge of their learning. By allowing students full control of their learning, we will be giving them a way to develop skills in a way they've never done before. We need our students to be developing vital skills for an unknown world. And the only way to achieve this is through the use of technology and giving them control. So basically, student-based learning is an idea that can bring about a lot of metacognitive skills, meaning the ability to think about their thinking in a way like never before and develop important reflective skills for their future. The incorporation of ICT into classrooms is changing, and the balance between the visual and auditory information processing, almost certainly favouring visual learners who were the least favoured in the text/language classroom of the past. Michael Stevens is a creator of a YouTube channel called Vsauce. During his passionate TED Talk, he discusses the power of his videos and the ways in which children and students are so engaged with YouTube videos, even though some of the actual scientific content being expressed is quite boring and dry. He goes on to explain the way in which it is presented online in a video format sparks curiosity and captivates his audience. The millions of views on his YouTube channel clearly demonstrates that this information medium is so powerful and is a vital tool in the classroom. I believe it needs to be used more effectively, and students need to be the ones deciding what they want to watch, when they want to watch it, and figuring out how they can gain access to that. One of the biggest contributing factors that determines whether ICT is effective or not is the attitudes, knowledges, and beliefs upheld by the teaching staff and government. Teachers in the classroom need to make a conscious effort to stay up to date with new technologies and the ways in which they engage students. This is also a major issue for the principals and government to ensure that students are given the time and access to resources such as professional development in order to constantly improve their skills. We also need to be investing in the right types of technology and not cutting corners. For example, putting one interactive whiteboard in the classroom is all well and good, but is it really going to dramatically impact the learning of 24 students just by looking at it? We need to do more, and we need to think more, and it's something that we need to be constantly reassessing. I think a main aspect of ICT is to allow yourself to get this knowledge from the experts, the students themselves. They are familiar with this technology and have grown up with it so vividly. So why not give them a chance to teach you? During my research, I was visiting a very affluent primary school, and it was here that I was in a computer lab with students from all year levels. I began to sit with one of the grade sixes, and I saw the incredible work he was doing. I asked, "What are you playing there?" In which the boy informed me that he was playing a game in which he created himself from a program. I was astounded that he had made this himself, and even more shocked that